Hehehe. Nice. Still not center. You know what? We're just gonna cheat. Just gonna move the screen, yo. Hello and welcome to another Solana tutorial. Today we're gonna talk about privacy, and specifically we're gonna showcase Elusiv. I like how I have merged for everything. Let's go that way. Yeah, so I want to introduce you to Elusiv.io, and we're gonna have a look at what they can do and how that works. First, do an outline of why privacy is even important. So yeah, let's get to it. By the way, since my videos are usually longer, you can find the chapters in the video description, or also like here if you click on the bar, in case it's already obvious to you why we need privacy and you just want to skip to the part where I talk about Elusiv. Go ahead. So let's get started. Elusiv. Yeah, I'm gonna start with why I want privacy. Let's make it a personal story. Because here's the thing, Solana is a public blockchain, so all of the transactions are public, which makes stuff easily trackable. And now you might be like, well, I don't care, I'm an open book, I don't do anything illegal, I'm okay with that. Fair enough. And still, having everybody know everything about you might not be what you want. I certainly don't, especially being a somewhat public person and doing a lot of stuff publicly, i.e. being doxxed. I might not want everybody to know how much money I have in total and how much I get paid every month. And the thing is, that's super easy to find out. Like, it's literally enough to go to my Twitter and see, oh, he bought this NFT. So let's stalk this solandy.sol. So step 1, find out which one that is. Hyperspace XYZ. Can't be too difficult. We know which collection it is because it's a popular one. And then we can filter by attributes. So what do we know? We know that the background is lavender, and we know that the color is amethyst, because after all, that is how Solandy selected his Klano. He just wanted that color combination. And what else do we know? We know he bought a Rex. So the selection is already limited. Kind of looks like this one, but then not really. Kind of looks like this one. That's probably it. Yep. All the others look differently. That's the one he bought. Okay, so we know 7995. And from here, we can probably find the mint address somewhere. Perfect. Go to the mint address. There we have it. Then we can already check who owns this. Go to holders. This is the owner, the CNO. And apparently this Klano comes from here by a direct transfer. What else do we know about this address? Well, it was funded by this address. And then we also see that even the NFT itself, the Dino, it actually comes from this transaction, which is just a transfer also from this address. So let's check this address out. Okay, Clay. Looks like a vanity address, but it has been cleaned out. There's 0 sol and just 2 spam tokens on there. Let's see how this address was funded. We see that 3K were transferred to this address. 2.2 were then, what is this? Jupiter. Converted to sol. That's a swap. And then apparently with that money, the Klano was bought. Okay, so that's where the money comes from. Well, where does the money come from? From 8SZ. So it could be that Solandy was paid by that address. But if we have a closer look, if we look at the sol transfers, the first sol transfer of 0.01 sol also comes from this address, the 8SZ. And that makes me think, well, if the same address sends USDC and sol, then it's probably the same owner, because if I pay someone, then I either send sol or USDC. And that looks like, well, they sent USDC and some sol in order to fund the address to fund the swap. So chances are that this address is also owned by that Solandy guy. And here we can see, oh, that guy still holds 3K, because a day ago he received 2K, 7 days ago he received 4K. And where does that come from? From gr4 and gr4 again, which is an address that holds quite a lot of money. So my assumption is that that is not Solandy's funds because I know him and he's not that rich. So this is the address that paid him, apparently. Also looking at their transactions, it seems like they spend a lot of USDC and then getting a lot of USDC again and then spending a lot of USDC again. So this seems to be a distribution address. This is certainly not Solandy's money. He doesn't have that. Anyway, so this seems to belong to someone who is paying him. But my personal problem is, now you know how much I get. And maybe I don't want you to know how much I earn in a month. And yes, I can give it away. I was paid by Solana Foundation, and that was payment from the past months, February and March. But yeah, I don't want you to know this. I don't want everybody to be able to just look up how much I earn. And it doesn't even stop there. Because you could be like, well, and how was that address funded? Because I just received the USDC. I had to put some Sol there. That again comes from the Clay address. So I actually funded it with that Clay address. So we go back a step. How was the Clay address funded though? Clay itself was funded. I need to look on the next page. Here. It was funded by the BCH. And BCH is a wallet that received 4K 4 months ago. And then sent it, converted it to Sol. And then sent the Sol to this address. That's a 2MC. And then spent that Sol to buy this monkey. So now I have the connection to, the owner of this Clay node also owns this monkey, probably. And then we can go a step further. Well, how did this address, the one that we just had here, how did this one get funded? Yes, they received 4K and then 300, but they also received some Sol from here, the DMEM. So very likely same owner, because just a little bit was used to then do the swap. And that DMEM, that's actually the account where I hold this Degen Ape. So now we have all three of them. So it's just a little bit of stalking. We found out that the owner of this guy, and this guy are connected. We know how much money they get. And we can make the connection who it actually is. And that's a lot of information. Basically, you know everything about me now. Just by clicking through the Explorer. Just because all of the transactions are public. And now, okay, I don't have a huge problem with that because I was aware that I'm making this information public. I was aware that I'm linking these 3 wallets. And I was aware that everybody can find out about that now. I don't think that everybody is that aware though. And even if I'm okay with everybody knowing that I own those 3 NFTs and that I get 4K per month from Solana Foundation, or used to, I just don't think everybody knows how easy it is to link those wallets. And once they're linked, that it's clear. Now, I'm not saying that every transfer means that it's the same owner. Obviously not. You can just send something to someone, but it's just annoying to argue. And then I have to explain all of the transfers to the government. If they check my finances, they're like, well, and what did you do here? And what did you do here? And where does that money come from? And I'm like, and I'm not even worried about like financial authorities because I provide them with the right information anyway. I'm more worried about like everyone knowing everything about me, because the more information somebody has about you, the more power they have over you, because it's much easier to negotiate if you have more information. If you know what the other person earns, but they don't know how much you earn, you have an advantage in negotiating. And maybe you want that. I'm just making the point that privacy per default is a good strategy. I don't want everybody per default to be able to link my wallets. That's why back in the days, I usually funded my wallets through FTX when that was still a thing. Let's see if we see that here in this example. This guy, this one was initially funded by Kraken and then later by FTX. So that's how old it already is. First I had Kraken, then I had FTX. So usually when I fund a new wallet, I send funds there from an exchange because there ends the tracking. Now you don't know where the funds for this one come from. They come from Kraken. Okay, and you can follow that address, but then if you do, then, you know, that's just a bunch of Sol and a bunch of SBL tokens where like, this is certainly not the same guy's wallet anymore, and we don't really know where that comes from. Just because those exchange wallets, they hold so many funds from so many users, and they have their own accounting somewhere, and then send accordingly. So there there ends the tracking. There you're basically lost. And that is similar to what Elusiv is actually doing. Basically aggregate the transactions from a lot of people and do them via this one program. The only reason why I don't do it with Kraken anymore is because they have, in my opinion, unnecessary transaction fees. I don't want to pay 0.01 Sol for every transaction I make. That's like, come on, I live on Sol. I want my transaction fees to be 0.00005 Sol. And FTX did it for free. That's why I liked them. Good old times. And since FTX went down, I don't really have a good privacy solution anymore. So yeah, let's talk about Elusiv. Let's talk about Elusiv. Elusiv promises privacy and compliance at the same time. Basically, Elusiv is encrypting our transactions. We don't plain text send anymore how much we want to send where. We encrypt that and send it to that. Let's imagine it as this elusive black box that does some stuff. And then the thing that we want to do happen without revealing what we want it to happen. And that works in 3 steps. Step number 1, we top up some private balance. And then we send a private transaction without revealing our identity. So somebody else sends on our behalf because we just said, send that from my private balance. And we stay in control. There are viewing keys that allow us and potentially other people to see the transactions that were actually made. But per default, not everybody can see which transactions we made. So let's have a look at that in practice actually. Or should we read up on compliance first? Okay, so apparently Elusiv has a block list where if somebody does a hack, they can't just go through Elusiv. Remember Tornado Cash? Similar solution in terms of they just aggregated a bunch of transactions from a lot of users and then you can't find out who does what anymore. So the US government just decided to ban all of it. It's all illegal. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Elusiv, and given their attempts to stay compliant, it's looking good that it won't happen. Plus there are viewing keys, so if the government should be like, hey you, what did you do there? You can still prove the transactions that you made. It's not all just gone. You can still provide them with a viewing key for several transactions or for all of your transactions, and then they can check if it's actually true what you're claiming. Because for, taxes and proving that those funds are mine and where they went, I might want to do this. So I can decide, yes, you get to see my transactions, but the vast majority of people, so the general public, doesn't. And that's already a great improvement over everything is public. That's the whole I'm in control part. So I can allow a trusted third party to view my private transactions. Malicious actors also get flagged on chain. Interesting. So Elusiv is trying really hard to not be associated with like any malicious actors or any illicit funds. Image. Very important. Let's have a look at how that actually looks in practice, how we can use Elusiv. Let's go to the app, app.elusiv.io. First thing we see is a bunch of legal stuff, because obviously they work with our funds, so they also want to be, sure that we don't misuse them. Coming back to all of that illicit fund stuff, right? Because it is not easy to navigate this space. We shouldn't reverse engineer. We should make changes, obviously. So that's the classic blah, blah, as any terms and conditions would, tell me. We may not use the service for money laundering. Okay, sure, Elusiv. Tax or sanctions evasion or other illegal activities. Yeah, so they make it pretty clear that you are not supposed to use them for that. And you even have to say, yes, I understand. And I confirm that the funds I'm using to send are legitimate, so I didn't, just steal them somewhere. And that I will use the platform in accordance with the applicable laws and regulations. Yeah, that's also interesting. Per user, per month, I can only do 8,000 Swiss francs, or the equivalent thereof. The franc, it's the same order of magnitude as the dollar. It's a bit more. Let's actually Google that. Yeah, I would have guessed 10K. It's 9K. So about $9,000 per month I can transact. Again, I'm assuming they do that to protect against money laundering, where just a bunch of money is laundered through their application. And 9K per month, I guess, it does not sound like much, and it's okay, and it's still enough for me, I guess. And you shall not try to circumvent it by using several wallets. Yes, Elusiv. I'm okay with that. Elusiv reserves the right to implement technical measures to monitoring to ensure users' compliance. So they probably track IP addresses or something like that. They might. Privacy. I mean, it's always like a trade-off, right? You can't just allow everybody to do everything because then we get Tornado Cash. And that's also not the ideal solution because then we have a bad image. And then as soon as we receive money from Tornado Cash, it looks like, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with that money, right? So that's also not what we want, right? All public, on the other hand, is also not what we want. So we want something in the middle. Elusive. The user shall pay 0% of the amount of a transaction. The Elusiv protocol executes this payment automatically. Yes, you shall take 0% of every transaction. I'm fine with that. That seems fair. The use of the services and the website is free of charge. Software is provided as is. Of course, we always read that. Elusiv never wants no guarantees that we continue the service indefinitely. Yeah, bunch of legal blah blah that they probably have to write. Risk information. That's the third one, the big one. Basically, first paragraph is like, we don't consult you on crypto, and crypto is risky. The user is aware that Elusiv will monitor the transactions made in connection with the software and or services, and may be legally obliged to report transactions to responsible authorities where transactions include suspicions of money laundering. So Elusiv does know. It's not a full private solution. You also need to be aware of that. It's not 100% private once you use Elusiv. Firstly, because of that paragraph, but also because of the technical specification that we might get into later. Okay, one sentence about it. We can imagine Elusiv as this black box or purple, what's that, pentagon. So black box, aka purple pentagon. What we send in and what is sent out can be observed again. That's the public stuff that we can see on the blockchain. Just what happens in there we can't see. So obviously, if we send out 1.337 SOL and immediately after somebody receives 1.337 SOL, then an observer could be like, well, that's very likely from that receiver. Whereas if several people send random amounts of funds and then several receivers receive random amount of funds, then that cannot as easily be linked anymore. Especially if there's also some time that's elapsing from the sending of the funds to the receiving of the funds. So the privacy comes from the amount of users and the time spent in the protocol. That was important to mention. Back to the terms. I acknowledge that there's the risk of losing assets and I agree to proceed at my own discretion. Now, this basically says there might be bugs in our system, so exploits could happen. You might lose your private balance. And we don't want to be responsible for that, which I am okay with. Elusiv has been audited by OtterSec. Where did I find that? OtterSec and ABDK have audited them. That's great and all, but it also doesn't mean that it's 100% safe, even if 2 professional auditors audited them. Welcome to Elusiv. Maybe one more story from my private life. First time I heard about Elusiv was at the Hacker House in Barcelona. So that was June 2022, so 3 quarters ago. And even back then, they already had a working product. And they did some testing and already had the Elusiv SDK that they showed. So I guess my point is, this is not a new project, even though it just recently came to mainnet. Where was that in the blog? Elusiv launched on mainnet. That was 8th of March, so a month ago. 0-minute read. Long blog post. So yeah, even though they're just recently enabled Elusiv on mainnet, that doesn't mean it's a very new thing. They just happen to test a lot on DevNet, is what I'm saying. Because yeah, they've been around for a while and they got audits. So it should be fairly safe, and there's always smart contract risk. With every program, there is the risk that there's some bug and it might be exploited. And it's open source, so like it's in a good spot. Point is just don't put all of your money into this. Like long-term holding is better to have it somewhere safe. But for temporary transactions, we can try it. So that being said, let's finally try it out on mainnet. Let's connect our software wallet. I have a wallet. Oh, good, I'm on DevNet. I was like, shit, there's no money on there because I'm not on mainnet. Okay. I have a wallet where I received 100 USDC. That's it. No SOL, nothing. And I say get started, and then I get to sign a message. And this is then used to generate the Elusiv seed. So by signing this, it allows the application to decrypt my private assets. So even though I'm not signing a transaction, I'm signing this message, and by that, I basically give away the power to send funds. So make sure that you're on the right website and trust the application. Okay, approve. So far, so good. The app is now trying to find my private balance and found it. I don't have any, which is true. I didn't put any there. I do have balance. I have 100 USDC, but I don't have any private balance. So before I can send anything to anyone, I need to top up my private balance. I can do that here with a top up. And I can be like, I don't know, how much do I want to send? Maybe put $10 into my private balance. And then we see we just pay for the transaction fee, which is 0.00005 Lampert. No, actually there are two signers, so it's 0.00001 Sol. Approximately that's where we are, because we're at approximately $30, not quite 25 at the moment. We don't pay for rent and we don't pay any privacy fee to Elusiv. That's the 0% fee that we pay to Elusiv. Lol. Prices provided by Pith. Got the swag for everything. Top up. And now we get to sign a transaction, because that's actually funds that need to go out from my wallet. So I need to sign this, and I see it's just USDC that is going out. There's no Sol involved, because Elusiv also takes the fee in the SPL token that it transacts, which for some use cases is super nice. I'm gonna approve this, because that means I don't need to have Sol on my wallet to put it into that private balance of Elusiv, which means I don't need to fund the wallet from another wallet or an exchange, which again makes me trackable, right? That's why I like this. I can just receive some Sol on some address and then put it into my private balance in Elusiv. And there we have it. It worked. I now have a private balance of 10 USDC. Now, before we work with that, let's have a look what actually happened here in this transaction. So I signed with my Elusiv address and somebody else signs, and we interact with the Elusiv program. Since that guy is the first signer, they pay for the fees. So I don't need to have Sol in my address. They pay for that. Therefore, I pay a little more. There I pay this address, the 6F3, I pay them 0.00312 for that bit of transaction fee. Let's check on a swap. With that, I get 0.0001. So that really just is to cover the transaction fee, plus a little bit to secure for varying exchange rate. That's fair. Paying 0.3 cents for a transaction, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. And 10 USDC go to this address. Yeah, so essentially our money went there, and this is probably just a pool address. It's owned by the Elusiv program, and yeah, holds a bunch of, Sol and USDC. And now the funds are owned by the Elusiv program. Cool. That's now similar to the funds being on an exchange and we not able to tell which user it belongs to anymore, right? From the outside, we cannot tell which user it belongs to anymore. We can say, yes, this user here, this guy has put 10 USDC into Elusiv, but that's all we can say. And now it's like some money goes out and we cannot link it anymore. Speaking of money go out, let's send some of that. Let's send 1.337 to Andy. Calculating fees. Now, this time I pay more fees. Why? Well, because they need to create a token account. And that's just because the receiver didn't have a token account yet. If the receiver had a token account, then I would just pay that transaction fee, which is at 1 cent, and 5 cents I pay for the token account. And I would say that's okay. I can afford to pay about 6 cents for this transaction. And this transaction fee is now more expensive because really behind that is several transactions. Let's go and send this. And now it's building the zero knowledge proof here. You don't really see that because I'm in the way, but it says building zero knowledge proof. Now here comes the interesting part. Once the zero knowledge proof is computed, I can just send it without signing another transaction. Because for now, the funds are owned by the Elusiv program. It does not require my wallet to do any more signing to send the funds out again. So I don't need to sign with my wallet adapter. I don't need to open my software anymore. I just need to transmit the CK proof and then my funds get sent. Building that proof takes a while. That's why I'm still talking here. Okay, the proof was built and we see the actual transaction fees now, lower than expected, still 6.23 cents. And all we now need to do is hit confirm send and it's done. We don't need to sign anymore. And now it's actually doing the sending. And there we have it. We successfully did our first private transaction. Now we can go to transactions here in this app, which then shows us all of the transactions that we've made so far. We did a top up, then we did a send. There we go. It now also found the send. 1.388 because 1.337 plus the 6 cent in transaction fees. And then when we go to the receiver, 1.34. Here I received the almost 1.337 USDC. Not on point, but close enough. And we can go see that's the same transaction ID that we see here. Let's have a look at that. And we see HS said has sent funds to Andy. Is that the same address that we sent it to? Yes, it is. So somebody that is observing this address could make the connection. Oh, $10 are going in here and then 1.3 are going out here. Maybe they are connected, but then also other people topped up stuff and other sends were made 5 hours ago, 7 hours ago. It's not a lot of traffic yet on those addresses. So, you know, if I immediately take out all the $10 again, it's not like super private either. I would need to leave it in there for a bit for other people to also transact stuff. And then the more time I leave it in, / the more people use it, the better for privacy. The harder it is to actually track by observing just the addresses. But the important thing here is I was able to do this send without signing with my wallet again. Because obviously if I needed to sign again and, you know, create a transaction with the current timestamp or something, then it would be much easier to link again. But here I'm just like, I'm providing a CK proof that could come from anywhere and anyone. That's it. Now let's make it obvious. Let's make it super goddamn obvious and send the remaining 8 point whatever USDC I still have to the same address. Why can I not send? Well, because I need to include fees. Yeah, okay. So apparently I will always leave some dust inside Elusiv. That's how they make money as well. Come on, but 8.7, it should be fine with fees, huh? 8 would work. 5, 6, 7. 8.7 is already too much. Let's see what is the most that I can get out. There, 8.63. Okay, let's send 8.63. This time I don't have to pay for the token account anymore. And I just sent this. Oh, there I found that. Audited by Autosec and ABDK. Error, balance must be greater than 0. Okay, so that is not working. Balance must be greater than 0. Something is going wrong here. Can I send 1? Can I send just $1? Oh, that I could do. Okay. So the 8.6 maybe are too much. Can I do 8? Let's do 8.6 and confirm send. Oh, now, wait. Can I really change the balance? Can I really change what I sent after doing the CK proof? Let's see. Successfully sent 0 USDC to Andy. What? Let's go to my transactions again. So something is still quite buggy here. Yeah, so that's another front-end issue, I think. You should not be able to change the balance after the CK proof was created. I'm just user testing here for you, Elusiv. You're welcome. Okay. Let's just connect to this side again and we sign that again so that we have the same keys again. There we go. Suddenly we have 8.6. Okay. 8.62. Yeah, whatever. So can I now send the 8.602 and the fees are 0.01. So I can just do 5.8. Still not. The usability, I mean, usability-wise, you can still work on this, Elusiv. I just want to send max, send everything that I can possibly send. I'm still missing this functionality. Okay. So 851 should work. Let's see if I can build the proof here. There we go. And I can confirm send. There we go. And now it's sending 8.51 USDC as well. Nice. There we go. We now have 9.85 USDC. So it cost us 15 cents to do those private transactions. Some of that went into our token account. Some went into transaction fees. But 15 cents for 2 private transactions is affordable. So we see that those 2 transactions belong together and those 2 probably belong together. Here 8.5 were spent. That's the one that I see on my receiver where I received the 8.51 and that amount was spent in fees because they also paid for this one. So what is that now? I mean, we could go find out how all of that works because the source code is like public. Could go read source. And at the same time, I'm a bit too lazy to that and probably too stupid, but we could. Point is those transactions worked. I still have 8 cents in there that I can't easily get out, right? 0.7 cents. Can I get that out still? Successfully sent 0 USDC. I don't think that was actually a transaction. That makes me nervous. Whatever you're doing here, if you're doing that on purpose or not, but that makes me nervous. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So apparently that wasn't sent. Anyway, I wanted to prove that it's easier with Sol or cheaper with Sol because the whole swapping doesn't have to happen. Let's top up 1 Sol. Yes, I trust it so much. I put 1 Sol in there and we see that transaction fees will turn out to be 0.0001 Sol, just a transaction. Top up, and that's again one that I need to sign. 1 transaction fee plus 25,000 lamperts that I don't know what they're for. There we go, and we have a private balance of 1 Sol. Let's see how much that actually cost us. So again, the 6F3 paid for the transaction in fee, but we sent to them the 0.001 plus additional 0.000025. So another half transaction per 1 signer because it probably needs that for something somewhere internally, I guess. And yeah, 1 Sol goes again to this HS set address. So that's the pool where all the money goes. Cool, so I have 1 Sol in private balance. And now we can send that 1 Sol, send it to Andy again, see what the transactions are. Oh, we want to send 1 Sol. Total fees will be 0.00. Like usability, I would really like to have a max button here. Just send all of it. Okay, 0.99, annoying. But okay, here you go. We built the proof and now we can send it. Oh, and this is also, you don't see that? Look, it says 0.99 lamperts. That's already a bug I reported and they're probably gonna fix it. It's just a front end thing. It's not lamperts, it's actually Sol that we're sending, but you know, there are no 0.99 lamperts. That's not even a thing. Must be an integer. There we go. That was also sent and received on this wallet. And you got the 0.99. Something was removed from here. Might be an account for the CK proof stuff values. And from the HS set, there was 0.904 something. Don't really get where all the rest comes from. Again, I could read source code and I'm not gonna. Our remaining balance. Okay, that doesn't wanna work. So that's sending with Sol. Also not much different. Pretty much the same thing, let's be honest. How do I now create viewing keys? There's a key symbol here on top. Generate viewing key. Create a viewing key for this private send to show you're the sender. Once generated, the viewing key cannot be deleted nor access revoked. So once we publish this, it will forever be published, which I'm okay with because I'm literally publishing this video. So let's generate a viewing key for this transaction. Enter the viewing key into the Compliance Explorer to see the details. There's the Compliance Explorer, and if we put our viewing key in here, then we can see at this timestamp for this fee and the sender, this is revealed using the seed, using the key. And essentially we have a transfer from here to here. So with this key, I can make this public again, and I can, you know, send that key to anyone now to prove that this transaction is legit and is from me. And yeah, that's pretty cool. That's the key for one specific transaction. In the docs, it says there are two keys. One is the spending key and one is the root viewing key. We now had a third type, which is just a viewing key for one transaction, but the root viewing key will let you see all of the transactions from one sender. And the spending key, as the name suggests, lets you actually spend the money. So we derive both of those keys if we sign in to the app here. If we sign the message, then it derives those keys for us. At least that's how I imagine it to work. You shouldn't share the spending key, but you can share the root viewing key. Then it's like you publish all of your transactions to that person with the key. And the wardens relay the requests from the users to the blockchain. So in my case, that warden was the 6F3. It's just another guy that sends those transactions on my behalf. So you can think of it as a cranker that cranks the Elusiv program that's in the Warden Network. I don't want to go too deep into the technical specifications. This article is pretty good though. They have like nice analogies to like the real world. You can have a look at those and you can read through those. Essentially how it works, we create a commitment, we make a deposit to the Elusiv program, to the Elusiv shared pool, and we put that amount into such a commitment. So that's a hash of this, the amount of funds, the type of token, and then a nullifier. And then using a zero knowledge proof, with such a zero knowledge proof, we can prove that we have those values without leaking the information. That's a general idea of ZK proofs. Again, another technical topic that is not scope of this video today, but yeah, you can read through that. It's a nice little example. And that's essentially how Elusiv works, right? We deposit there and then just submit these ZK proofs for the wardens to actually transfer our funds or the funds of the program on behalf of us. And that's as technical as I want to get on that. Okay, what else did I want to show? Now there is the Elusiv SDK, which allows you to do all of what we did here from code, and it's pretty trivial. You just create an instance with your public key and then you can top up, send that transaction, or send the Elusiv transaction, that thing that creates the ZK proof and sends, in this case, half a sol to some recipient. That's literally it. So simple that I'm not even going to showcase it because I'm lazy and I first need to request access to it, and I haven't. It's not public yet, it's just in private beta. Right, but soon you will be able to do that, I guess. Anyway, okay, if it's not public, then I'm not gonna include it. So, never mind. All right. I hope that you learned something again today about privacy on Solana. Elusiv is nice. Elusiv is not the next Tornado Cash because of those concepts like the viewing keys, and they do more to prevent bad actors from using their protocol. And that guarantees privacy for regular users like you and me, provided that there are enough users using that, which is my incentive for making this video and telling you about Elusiv, because if only I'm using it, then there's no privacy in that at all. But the more people use it, the harder it gets to track, and I kind of like that. So yeah, go use Elusiv for your private transactions on Solana. If you're interested in more of the technical details of how that actually works within the purple pentagon, then let me know in the comments and I might consider it to make another video and go more into depth of how it actually works and look at the source code and go through the SDK as well. I requested access to that. And Elusiv, let's talk. I mean, it can work on the front end a bit still. There's still space for improvement, obviously, as with anything. And I'm also making this video to just, you know, show you how I experience it and what I like to see improved. Like send all of my funds to an address, that would be helpful, and just some front end fix up. Because I'm a Solana user, I expect a good and fast front end. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Elusiv. I make it because I wanted to. Alright, I guess I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye. Oh yeah, and check out those videos, like this one and subscribe. And send transactions privately with Elusiv. Product placement that I'm not being paid for. Elusiv! Pay me. Privately. Or not. I'm okay with that as well.